Oh, a Bakewell turret. How totally unexpected. Christine does make exceedingly good cakes.
Hello YouTube world, welcome back to my workshop. You may remember probably a couple of months ago now, I made this lovely emerald green vase, which I'm quite pleased with. That turned out quite well. I was quite pleased with that. It was made from a piece of spalted silver birch. A friend of mine was cutting some trees down. He was asked to clear some land for somebody, and when he saw the spalting inside the birch, he thought of me, had a lorry load of it, told me I could go down and help myself. So I went and took a few pieces. Now the reason I coloured that was because at the pieces I had, that was probably the worst spalting in it. This was another piece that I just rough turned. You can see in there is some quite lovely grain pattern in that one. It's quite nice. Now I didn't do anything with that, I left it solid, I just took the outside off, and I don't know whether you've seen there's quite a bad splits in there. But the good thing about that is, when you get all that black lines running down through there, when I want to fill that, all I've got to do is mix up some epoxy resin with a bit of black dye, put it in there, nobody can see it. The other thing that I did rough turn was this sphere. I hollowed it, turned it, left it quite thick because I knew that it would dry, I knew that it would warp, and then once it was nicely dried out, I'd get it back on the lathe and turn it into the finished shape. But as you can see on there, there is some quite lovely grain pattern running through there. It is really nice. That's okay, let's cut right the way around there. It's pretty good. Okay, I reckon I'll go straight in and sand that down now. And so I cleaned that up, I'll sand it down. It's really quite lovely and smooth. See that lovely green pattern running through there. So what I'm going to do now is just put some sand and sealer on there, and then some wax. Sand and sealer I'm using on there is a cellulose, that's chestnut cellulose sand and sealer. You see that really brings that grain out there. Now I always try to put sand and sealer on the piece stationary, because for one I can rub it in with the grain, but if I do it when the piece is spinning, I always seem to get like streaks in it. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. It never looks very nice. I have mentioned before about thinning this, and I'm never quite sure, because a man from Chestnut will tell you not to, yet everybody I ever spoken to will tell you to thin this down. And it's not even as if you're saving money, because a litre of the sand and sealer I think is £18, and a litre of the thinners is £16. So you know, you're only saving yourself £2, so it's not even. I don't think money's a factor. Right, so that looks pretty good. Now we do a bit of wax. So a nice clean bit of cloth, just give that a nice buff up. Take off any excess wax. Just bring that to a nice high shine. And that is looking pretty good. Beautiful figure in there, lovely grain pattern. So next I'm going to get my hollowing tool up, and I'm going to tidy up the inside, clean it all up, and just very quickly run a sander in there. So this is the Sign Hope hollowing tool. The articulated arm, where that comes off that steel shaft, that right, there's a phosphor bronze bush in there, which is self-oiling, so it moves very easily, spins around on that shaft with no problems whatsoever. The whole thing is very well engineered, I have to say. It's very sturdy, very solid piece of kit. That arm is articulated. There's 1, 2, 3 joins on there, so you can make it go anywhere you want to. There is a bolt that comes up from underneath a metal plate that fits underneath which is fully adjustable, so it'll fit any lathe at all. Then you have the cutting arm, comes through. I have a 12mm scraper in the moment in there because I'm just cleaning it out. It does come with also with a 6mm cutter, which absolutely rips all the way. That's the overhead camera. Now this isn't great trying to take a video of a TV screen. You can see where my finger's pointing, there's a black dot, and you can see the S shape of the cutter, and you can see that black dot on the screen will follow. Where my cutter goes, that black dot will go with it. So it doesn't matter where it moves to, it will always stay in the same place. And you'll see very shortly, when I move that in there, that black dot stays on the screen, as I say, which is exactly, so I know exactly where my cutting tool is at all times. So I know I can make that wall really quite thin and not really have to worry about coming through the edge of it at all. You see there, I'm at the bottom of the bowl, which gives me probably about 10–15mm to take out of there before I come through. And then see shortly when I bring it up there, I'm now bringing it up the side, so you can now see exactly how thick, what the wall thickness of that bowl is. So it comes up through, so I know that I've got quite a bit to take out still. And there, that's probably almost thick enough. There's probably about 10mm left. I wouldn't really want to go much thinner than that. So as I say, I've got a scraper in there, so it's just to go in and clean it all up, not actually to cut it away. So as you can see, that overhead camera it will track the point of my tool, so I know exactly where the point of my tool is at all times. The other thing too, always you have to be careful with is you've got to make sure that that cutting tool, as with any scrapers, any carbide tip tools, it's absolutely dead centre on the cutting line right the way through. The arm has to be parallel, so it cuts on a level all the way through. And that tip of that cutter really needs to be just led over, possibly about 30 degrees, and it will just cut in the scraping mode. So that pretty much is just the overall the Hope hollowing tool. I've turned my lathe around because it was on the other side against the wall, which was a much better setup because I had all the leads and everything all up on the wall with the camera, as you can possibly see up there. It was an old TV stand that I modified just to put it on, and that was right where I was working, so it was a lot easier. The setup was a lot easier for me. Just 2 points I want to make about hollowing. One, when I first left school I did engineering apprenticeship, and one of the things I was always told is never ever use a compressed air gun to clean anything off, swarf, sawdust, anything like that. And I'd cringe every time I look on YouTube and I see somebody doing it, because if you have a look, as soon as they blow it you get this huge great cloud of dust they put up into the air, and you know, 9 times out of 10 they're breathing that in. So if I'm cleaning inside of there, I always use a vacuum cleaner. Which cleans out just as well, all the dust being put into the your lungs eventually. And the other thing I would say that I always do is I never ever put my fingers inside of there. I was talking to somebody one day and they were saying about I don't know whether they were sanding in there or polishing in there, and the rag got caught, twisted round, ripped their finger straight off. And every time I think of that. So what I've done, I made up a series of these. It's just a bit of wood, just a bit of scrap wood. I put a piece of Velcro on there, or hook and loop, stick it back, and then just use a piece in there, and I just go in there and sand that up. No problems at all. And I don't have to get my hands anywhere near it. And that's good enough in there for what I want. So I'm just going to clean the top up and put some sand and sealer and some wax on there. Okay, so that's all done, sanded, waxed. It is a bit rough in there still. I think that's the biggest problem with making hollow objects is you get your piece of wood, you cut the outside to shape, you sand it all down, so you've got this beautiful piece, in this case this lovely grain pattern. But then when you go and hollow it, you spend the next 2 hours hollowing it and you still haven't got any more than what you had 2 hours ago. So hollowing You know, I suppose although it's quite an art to do it, I don't know that it improves the piece at all. So that's done, so what I'm going to do now is just take it out of the chuck. And just need to remove that chucking point. So what I need to do now is just reverse chuck this and take the bottom off, and then the piece is finished. So there we go, YouTube world, another finished product. Let's say I'm quite pleased with that. Don't know what you're doing next, but I'm off up for a cup of coffee and a slice of baked wild tart. So, as always, I've been Steve Howe, and this has been another great day in my workshop. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.